You're listening to Cross Rhythms Plymouth 96.3 FM, and I've got the pleasure of being joined in the studio by Mr. Roger Rowland. Hi, Roger.
Hi, really good to be here.
It's great to have you. Great to have you here. We're going to talk about something very specific, something you've been involved in for a little while in the city, which is a brass band. So tell us a bit about the brass band you're involved in. What they called, and what's it all about?
Well, I'm part of a brass band organisation, which is actually made up of three different bands. We are now called Plymouth City Brass, but for the last few years, we have been Soundhouse Brass.
Yes, yeah, and many people in the city might have seen them at various events, Christmas events, things like that, in the city as Soundhouse, but you are kind of rebranding, changing things there. So tell us a bit about the organisation, because talking off air, there's a lot to it. There's a lot that goes on with Plymouth City Brass. It's not just, as you say, one band. There's a lot to it. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, most people's concept of brass bands, understandably, is, well, that's a little bit weird, a little bit strange, a little bit different. Or maybe it's something to do with the Salvation Army. Well, perhaps it does, actually, because that's actually my roots, where I came into music from. But Plymouth City Brass is made up of around 80 different musicians, plus some backroom staff who help us out with librarianships and stuff. And we're just a group of brass playing idiots who enjoy being together, playing all sorts of different styles of music together. And we even run as part of a league where we take on other bands throughout the country.
Amazing. That's a whole part of it, which we'll come to in a bit. But I suppose for the purpose of this interview, a big part of it is the fact that you, as well as catering for that kind of top level, you cater for every level, don't you? You cater for people, as you said to me off air, people who've maybe don't even know what instruments are involved in a brass band, but they're just interested to get involved. Beginners at the very beginning of their musical journey.
Yeah, so we've got literally people from every background, sexes, age, ethnicity. We've got people with specific disabilities, physical disabilities, that are part of the organisation, and we all gather around the fact that actually we can make music together, and it's fun. And the sort of music we make is played with brass instruments and percussion alongside as well.
Yeah. And so tell us a bit about the kind of makeup of each three bands. So you've got an entry level, you've got a kind of middle, sort of more social band, and then the competition band. Tell us a bit about each three.
Yeah, so we've got our learners band, which is, as you quite rightly say, the way in. All of us have had to learn something sometime in our lives, and it's good that perhaps we learn from some people with experience. So we have a small group of musicians headed up by Gary, who teaches first of all, what a brass instrument is, what it does, how you make a noise on it, how you read music, practice a little bit together and learn all the basic skills. That then will often feed into our academy band, as it is known at the moment. And that's a band made up of literally all age ranges, again, from some pre-teens up to, well, some guys and girls that are like me, pushing the envelope as far as age is concerned as well. And that band is very much a community entertainment. We like to play music. Anyone want to listen to us? Type of band, and that will also feed into our senior band, which is our section one. We are pushing through the ranks of national brass band competitions and have done really well recently. So.
Yeah, and that's a really exciting aspect to touch on, because I think it's a matter of like pride for the city that we have a brass band of that quality, because as you said in conversations we've had off air, there's a lot of brass bands actually in the Southwest. There's a load nationally. Yeah, standards are pretty high nationally, and you guys are in the equivalent, in footballing terms, in the championship. So you're one below the very top level nationally, which is quite a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like Plymouth Argyle, we're pushing for the tops. And the exciting part about competitions, or contests as we call them, isn't so much taking part in the contest, but what it does is it forces us into being more disciplined about how we rehearse. It takes us into the next level of what we could possibly achieve. And certainly over the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen the band succeed at a regional level and then succeed at a national level to arrive at the place where we're at. So we're excited about the music we play. We're also excited about the possibilities for the future. So.
That's amazing. That's brilliant. It's really exciting. So, we're going to carry on this conversation with Roger after some music. We'll talk a little bit about, if you're listening to this and thinking, I'd love to be involved in one way or another, maybe kind of volunteer to help out, maybe just want to listen to some of their music at different concerts. We'll talk about that. But also if you're maybe accomplished and want to get involved in any form of the band, or even just learning, there's so much access to this. So we're going to talk more about that with Roger right after this. You're listening to Cross Rhythms Plymouth 96.3 FM, and I'm in conversation with Roger Rowland from Plymouth City Brass, otherwise known as Soundhouse Brass, has been known for Soundhouse Brass for some years, so you might be listening to this and know the band and the organisation as that. Roger, I wondered, before we get into the kind of ways in which people can get involved, be it, watch you guys, listen to you guys at a concert, or get involved in being part of it, in brief, could you tell us a little bit about your journey with Plymouth City Brass and kind of what it is that you really enjoy about it, what you get out of it personally?
Yeah, well, that'll be a pleasure. First of all, music's been a love of my life, literally all my life, for as long as I remember. I had the privilege of growing up in the Salvation Army and being part of the magnificent musicians, vocalists and instrument players of the Salvation Army. So I sort of learned to play before I could read, before I could do anything else. It was just a natural part of growing up. So I've been involved in music for, I know you're going to look at me and think he's never that old, but I've been involved in music for 63 years.
Wow! Look at that. And specifically Plymouth City Brass, then, or Soundhouse Brass, as it would have been when you joined it. How long have you been involved there? What is it you enjoy most?
Yeah, so I moved back to Plymouth as part of my retirement to come back to a city that I've grown up in, went to school in, taught in, done all sorts of things here, and I wanted to find a brass band. I actually struggled to find a brass band because I put Plymouth brass bands and nothing came up, because the band wasn't called Plymouth anything, it was called Soundhouse Brass. But eventually I made contact, joined the organisation. They thought I was good enough to be able to play something, so they put me on a tuba, and I played in the band on tuba ever since.
That's great. And what is it that you and what do you get as feedback from other members of the band that they love most about it? I guess as much as the kind of music, there must be a sense of camaraderie and the friendships that you make and all that kind of aspect as well. Yeah,
it's a great organisation that is based around music, but in the end, it's, do we love what we're doing, and do we love what we're doing together? Yeah. And that's the key thing. So it's very much a community organisation. There's a real sense of ownership and belonging to the band. We talk to each other about what we like, what we don't like, how it operates. But above all, we like making music, and we have great fun doing it.
That's brilliant. That's so good. So we're going to talk about how people listening to this can get involved at a multiple of levels. I'm going to start at the kind of very beginning in terms of people who are listening to this who don't yet play a brass instrument. The learner kind of band setup you have really is geared for people starting from the very beginning, to the point where they don't even need to have an instrument. That's right, isn't it?
Definitely don't need to have an instrument. We have a little store of instruments that are available for free for loan to people that come along, and we've got some great people that just investing their lives in teaching how to play music and read music.
That's great. So people listening to this who want to learn, just get in contact. What's the best ways to get in contact? And there's no cost, is there?
There is no cost involved in coming and learning. There's no cost in borrowing an instrument either. What we ask is look after it, practice on it and enjoy playing it. That's the big thing, because it is a community organisation. We exist for the pleasure of the community and bringing community together. So how to do it? Well, the best way is always through our website, which is underway with its relaunch into its new name, but at the moment still exists as Soundhouse Brass. So search Soundhouse Brass, you'll find the key or the contact details on there, telephone numbers, emails, etc.
Yeah, perfect. And depending on when you're listening to this, search Plymouth City Brass as well. It's going to be changing names.
Will happen at some point. Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I suppose for people who've been involved in bands for many years, there's open access for them to try out for the more experienced, more advanced bands as well, isn't there?
Yeah, so rehearsals are fairly relaxed, and by that I don't mean it's a free-for-all, but people are certainly welcome to come along. We often have people come just sit in on rehearsal, just to listen to what the band's rehearsing. And people would certainly be able to come along and say, I'd like to try out, and again, we would facilitate that to happen. People will find their level as to where they're comfortable playing, and hopefully there's a great relationship for the future. That's
brilliant. And then I suppose the final part of where people might want to get involved is simply just to listen to you and maybe to support you as well. So I suppose you've got a kind of program of events coming up and particular concerts. Is there anything you want to flag up? Any particular concerts coming up?
There's a particular concert which is actually our rebranding, our relaunch concert, which is going to be held on Saturday, the 21st of September, 7:30 in Plymouth Central Hall. And at that event, all three of our bands or parts of our banding organisation will be there to be part of that rebranding. And the rebranding, by the way, also includes we're going to have a new look. So there's a new look, whole look uniform-wise to the band as well. So there's literally a representation of the band to the public, and hopefully people will say, I'd like to be a part of that. I could join that sort of organisation. Some people might want to say, well, I'm not a musician.
Sure.
There are background jobs as well if people want to be a part of it. So we have people that are librarians, people that do admin, people that do photocopying, people that do instrument, taking note on what we have, where all the instruments, where all the equipment is, and so on. So there's loads of different work. It's an organisation.
Yeah, great. So there's loads of ways you can get in contact. So as I say, the best ways to do that is to search them out online. So Soundhouse Brass, as it has been for many years, will change to Plymouth City Brass. So search either of those, you'll find out their website. That concert then that you mentioned that's in September, Roger, is that ticketed? Do people need to buy tickets ahead? What's the situation there?
I am saying yes, it is a ticketed event, but it's also a big venue, and I'm fairly certain anyone who rocked up on the night is probably going to get in. I'd like to think, that all 800 or 900 seats are going to be crammed. Probably not quite at the moment, but to be honest, we do get good crowds at our concerts. So
of course. And just to finish off, then give us that date of that concert one more time.
Yeah, it's Saturday, the 21st of September at 7:30, and it's at Plymouth Central Hall.
Brilliant, Roger. Thank you so much.